Megamind is a 3D animated 2010 film directed by Tom McGrath. It is a subversive and comedic take on the superhero genre. The story follows the alien supervillain Megamind, who after years of fighting the beloved superhero Metro Man for control of Metro City, successfully annihilates him. Megamind mourns for the loss of his rival and creates a new hero, Titan, to give his life purpose again. After his plan backfires, as Titan turns evil, Megamind embraces his new purpose as Metro City's hero to defeat Titan. Megamind is a compelling story where the characters learn that it's never too late in life to make a different path for oneself. The believability and engaging aspect of Megamind is created by the character animation, which makes use of the 12 principles of animation. The scene establishing the relationship between Megamind and the reporter Roxanne Richies can be utilized to deconstruct how the 12 principles of the animation are effectively used by DreamWorks. A significant animation principle that can be observed is solid drawing. As Megamind exits the elevator, he displays expressive arm movements and a satirical take of the villain laugh trope. Along with the way he bends his knees slightly, his dynamic pose indicates a strong understanding of solid drawing. As animator Jay Jackson suggests, solid drawing solidates essential knowledge concerning weight distribution, distinction of the silhouette, and posing in order to make a character feel organic and possible in a 3D space. Part of Megamind's visual appeal is dependent on the solid drawing that is implemented throughout the film. This shot uses staging to convey what is occurring in the scene. Megamind is in the foreground as his expressions are the primary focus of the scene. The characters Minion and Roxanne are in the background. The shot composition's clarity is also conveyed using lighting. The background is out of focus and lit brighter, allowing the darker foreground to be the focal point of the scene. Lasseter examines the importance of good staging as he states, the audience's eye must be led exactly where it needs to be at the right moment, so that they will not miss the idea. Staging, anticipation, and timing are integral to directing the eye. Staging ensures the audience focus on the right characters and location on screen. Characters in Megamind use secondary action to emphasize their words and add personality to their actions. This is evident in actions such as Megamind's mischievous slight nod, his legs swinging as the chair turns, and by the fact that he strokes the bot like a cat. The secondary action adds interest to the primary action. If secondary action is absent, the primary action could be read as emotionless and stiff. This sentiment is expressed by Thomas and Johnston. As they state, secondary action is made to work with the features so that the expression is actually emphasized. The scene will be outstanding when used correctly. It will add naturalness to the action and full dimension to the personality of the character. Secondary action is essential in making the character feel like they are engaged and active within the scene. The principle of pose to pose throughout the scene is used to convey complex and simple movements. This has been applied to Roxanne's subtle movement as she slouches down to emphasize her dismay with the current situation. The pose to pose principle is essential to the process of animation. As DiStefano states, in pose to pose, the animator plans his action, figuring out just what drawings will be needed to animate the scene. Pose to pose is used for animation that requires good acting, where poses and timing are important. It should also be noted, besides the occasional nod and shrug, there is not much movement from Roxanne in the scene, as she is constrained to a chair. So simple differences involving the pose to pose principle are useful in terms of making her still appear alive. As Megamind continues to speak, there is evidence of an arcing secondary action as he sways his head and then he puts a hand to his ear in order to emphasize his point. Arcing is a common method used in animation that grants characters' movements appeal and readability. The arc is apparent in the way his hand and head is animated to follow a path of an arcing flow. Williams stresses the importance of this technique as he states, most actions follow arcs. Generally, an action is an arc. The arc of an action gives us a continuous flow. If it isn't an arc or a path of action, the animation will not flow. This not only gives appeal to the action, but allows the movement to be clearly communicated to the viewer. When Megamind is imitating an old lady scream, the use of the principle of timing is evident. Megamind goes from a neutral sitting position to a tense higher pose, gripping the bot, then returning to a relaxed pose. The liveliness of Megamind's action in this sequence can be attributed to the animation's timing. Timing in this sequence is crucial for delivering good character performance. DiStefano reiterates this idea as he states that timing plays an essential role in illustrating the emotional state of an object or character. It is the varying speeds of the character's movements that indicate whether a character is lethargic, excited, nervous, or relaxed. The contrast between the poses is complemented by good timing and assists in conveying the fact that Megamind is mocking Roxanne and adds to the comedic energy of his actions. The animation technique of anticipation is demonstrated when the bot looks at Megamind's hand, establishing it desires to bite his hand before committing to it. Anticipation adds a layer of complexity to the animation, giving the characters the appearance of thought. Williams elaborates on this principle as he describes anticipation, explaining that it communicates what is going to happen. The audience sees the anticipation, and so they will anticipate with us. Every action we make, there is anticipation. We think of things first, then do them. When a character has no anticipation, they have the potential to be perceived as one-dimensional. With the addition of anticipation, depth and personality are developed in simple characters such as a bot. The principle of exaggeration is a significant characteristic of animation throughout Megamind. When Megamind is bitten, he jumps and spins vigorously around, trying to get the bot off his hand. The use of the principle of exaggeration assists in conveying his pain. Lasseter explains that in order to apply exaggeration, the animator must go to the heart of any idea and develop its essence, so the audience will also understand it. If a character is sad, make him sadder. Megamind's actions must be exaggerated and defy real-world physics in order to convey the emotions he is experiencing to the audience in an entertaining and readable way. As Minion is naively leaking Megamind's secrets to Roxanne, his thought process and expressions are articulated with the principle of squash and stretch. Minion's whole fish body extends and retracts as he speaks. characteristics. The principle of squash and stretch is described by Deja as an animation principle that depicts the character in a compressed and elongated position, adding fluidity and comedy to the motion. The use of squash and stretch makes Minion appear sympathetic and have friendly characteristics. It also complements Megamind's cartoony animation style. As Megamind wheels to the left of the shot, there is evidence of the principal overlap. Megamind's cape flies behind him, then overshoots when he is no longer accelerating, then eventually becomes still. Overlap gives the scene a sense of dynamic force. This effect is examined by Thomas and Johnston, as they state if there are any appendages, they will continue to move when the rest of the figure has stopped. The movement each timed carefully, so it will have the correct feeling of weight, and must continually follow through in the pattern of action in a believable way, no matter how broadly it's cartooned. Overlap allows the objects and characters seem dynamic and maintain a sense of weight and believability within the scene. As Megamind propels himself towards the control panel, it is evident that the principle of slow in and slow out is being utilized. As seen by the speed of the chair, it accelerates and gradually slows down as the movement concludes. Lasseter defines slow in and slow out as the principle that deals with the spacing of in-between drawings between the extreme poses. It refers to the timing of the in-betweens. The principle of slow in and slow out reflects real-world physics. It assists the animation in taking a more realistic appearance. For animation to be visually interesting, the principle of appeal must be incorporated. Appeal has been utilized in the poses and expressions that Megamind articulates as he starts pulling various levers, trying to convince Roxanne that he is evil. Megamind is animated to appear visibly upset. As he becomes more defeated, he deflates into less proud poses. Lasseter elaborates that appeal means anything that a person likes to see, a quality of charm, pleasing design, simplicity, communication. Your eye is drawn to the figure or object. Where the live-action actor has charisma, the animated character has appeal. Appeal compels the viewer to sympathize with Megamind's emotions. By using the 12 principles of animation, the animators were able to produce the compelling visual storytelling of Megamind. While making Megamind, DreamWorks CEO Jeffrey Katzenberg told McGrath concerning the technical process of the film, "What you're gonna like isn't the spectacle, but what you can do with it storytelling-wise."